Welcome to the Overwatch Unveiled panel.
Hello.
Greetings.
Did you guys play yet? Are you already back from playing?
This is madness. Absolutely. We need we don't have a catchphrase yet. Like, watch out. Yeah, we need like a cool, we don't have one, but we need one.
Internet, go.
Internet, go. No, internet, stop. No. Guys, thanks for coming out for the first inaugural panel for Overwatch. So, what'd you guys think of the trailer? So much fun. So much stupid fun. It's almost an impossible level of epic. There's a lot of love that went into that thing. We've been working hard on Overwatch, and we love it a lot.
Actually, let's hear it for Blizzard Cinematics and Jeff Chamberlain for that movie.
Absolutely. Guys, we wanted to start the panel off. Jeff's really going to take you through the nitty-gritty of the game and really kind of describe the shape of it. I want to start off and talk a little bit about the world. I'm going to start coughing the whole time. I got the black lung pop.
Send it my way.
Yes. Overwatch, what may be obvious from the trailer, it is set in a highly fictionalized version of future Earth. Say that fast. We looked at the franchise we'd been building for years, right? You got the super sci-fi of StarCraft, the high fantasy of Warcraft, the kind of high fantasy gothic vibe of Diablo. We wanted to do something fresh. Wanted to do something new. We always loved the idea of potentially getting to kind of a fictionalized Earth one day. The story takes place something like 60 years in the future, right? Far enough in the future that we can have flying cars and ray guns and all the technology we would ever want to have, but it's not far enough that it feels like too exotic, like Coruscant, right? It's a near future, so that we can build global locations that, oh, there's the Eiffel Tower, there's the Sphinx, there's, kind of landmarks and areas in the world that you go, oh, I get it. It places you there, right? It has context immediately, which was something that was very, very important to us. The story goes that, how do I do this? The math is a little weird. If the present day of Overwatch is something like 60 years in the future, then 30 years back from that point, there was a global crisis. And of course, it was robots, because robots are just bad for everybody. In Overwatch, we call robots, or a very specific type of robot, we call them omnics. And robots had become very, very common throughout the near future. And at some point, they went totally crazy. And they attacked cities all over the world, and no one could figure out what's going on. These guys were all chill, just yesterday. Now they're eating all of our cities. And so the different nations of the world, sent their best soldiers, their armed forces, their great, localized technologies against these omnics. And ultimately the war that resulted is called the Omnic Crisis, and it sets it was huge in shaping the landscape of the future of Overwatch. And while the different nations of the world couldn't really do much against this problem in their backyard, the nations decided to pool their resources and put together a strike force of the best of the best of the best technologies and soldiers from different nations around the world. And that was the original Overwatch strike team. And this strike team did great. It took out not going to spoil it, whatever was causing the Omnic Crisis. They handily dealt with it, and they saved the world, and the world loved it. And so for the next 30 years, this strike force really becomes an institution. Overwatch becomes this international coalition, right, where there's successive years of graduating classes and kind of new agents coming in and cycling out. And it was something that really exemplified just the greatness of people, right? Regardless of where you were from, regardless of who you are, or the different walks of life everybody came from, Overwatch represented just heroism and sacrifice and nobility, and it really did make a great difference in the world. And the big turn came, again, if you figure at the present day of Overwatch, something like 5 years ago, pretty recent, Overwatch began to fall apart. To this date, pardon me, except for Jeff and I, no one really knows why Overwatch fell apart. It's probably a number of things, and I'm totally suspicious immediately since someone took Overwatch out. But for whatever reasons it fell apart, you know, the world has darkened in the last 5 years. And the hook of the world idea is, as the world darkens again, it still needs heroes. And can this ideal, you know, this vibe that Overwatch really represented everybody, can it come back when the world needs it most, right? So that's the essential fictional hook of Overwatch. I'm spitting a lot up here. Is that okay?
It's a little misty, but I'm okay with it.
Misty. Okay. What the hell are we doing? Excellent.
All right, let's talk about. That's our segue. We rehearsed that many times. So we mentioned in the opening that Overwatch is a team-based multiplayer shooter. And this is something we're super, super excited about. And we were worried, you know, we knew we'd be sharing this with our closest fans, you know, not only you guys here today at BlizzCon, but everybody watching the live stream, everybody watching on DirecTV. There's probably a lot of nerves also, like, oh my God, what is Blizzard doing? Do they know how to make a shooter?
Yeah. What are you thinking?
Well, we made one, but we remember, I can flash back to, I remember around 2002 is when I started working on World of Warcraft. We used to get a lot of comments, you know, what business does Blizzard have being in the MMO category? You guys don't know what you're the RTS company. But we figured it out with your guys' help. We spent a lot of time, and we plan to do that same thing with the shooter. So we really want to talk to you guys today about what is going to make this game distinctly Blizzard. As I mentioned earlier, what we like to do is look at genres that we love and we sort of revere and think about all the ways that we can bring out the best elements of those genres. You know, something, even as I'm looking at that screenshot that's up there, I don't think there's a lot of shooters out there that look like that today.
It's pretty much going off.
Yeah.
Jetpacks and giant mutant gorillas and, yeah.
Mutant gorillas that talk.
That talk with lightning guns.
It makes sense because he's from the moon.
And he comes from the moon.
We've thought it all out.
Buckle up, people. That's
you guys don't need to worry about anything.
Enjoying the exhibit? Oh, by the way, I've been banned from doing any voices in the game, so we'll just jump on top of that one.
All right, he says that, but there's a certain robot in the game.
One thing let me do.
Is somebody famous. Anyway, what does Blizzard have a lot of experience at? If you look at this slide behind me, there's somewhat of some amount of experience in making multiplayer PvP experiences. Somebody asked me, why isn't Diablo on this slide? I'm like, Diablo is amazing, amazing multiplayer game, but the point we were trying to make was, wow, we've been doing PvP for a long time, and looking at the way you guys give us comments and feedback and the pro gamer stage down in the arena and the Hearthstone stage over there, we know you guys love competitive PvP games, and we want to deliver another one to you. We feel like it's something that we can do well.
So we wanted to talk about also, as we were kind of building the idea of Overwatch, you know, just kind of how our games are. We try to make them very inviting. You know, we try and make them accessible for a broad, you know, gamut of players. You know, if you're hardcore, you're casual. You know, we like building product for everybody, and at all levels of play, which isn't all that easy. So approachability is something that is very, very important to us. I guess I'll riff a little bit on the approachability of the world. You know, there's lessons we learned building World of Warcraft. How many of y'all are WoW players? Killer. So one thing we learned is like certain zones in WoW, you know, like Shadow Moon Valley or Netherstorm, right? they're really beautiful, and I love the vision of those places. But after you spend like hours and hours in those locations, you start kind of kirking out a little bit. It's just it becomes really oppressive. It's just a little too heavy. And we've really taken those lessons to heart over time. That if an area is just too intense or too dark, it's not a space you want to stay in. So while the world of Overwatch will have its dark points, dark gritty areas, I'm sure you'll see a few of them as we go. We really wanted to build, in a way, I guess I'd say it, a future worth fighting for. A world of color and sound and light and just, kind of thematically really stirring. A place that you want to keep coming back to. And then ultimately, you might even have an emotional connection to, I don't know, you just want to protect and, want to be invested in. I think that also goes for, the characters that ultimately we're building. This game is all about heroes. And often we want to get really exotic with the hero ideas. Like, how about a robot monk from Tibet? Yeah. How about a super intelligent ape that, totally wigs out, goes mutant with a lightning gun from the moon, who invents all of our best stuff? We want to get pretty weird with characters, but at the end of the day, it's that balance between keeping them very accessible. Sometimes the accessibility is their immediate look, and I think I get it. I think I get what that person does. It could be a mix of the sound and the character expression and everything, but ultimately that accessibility is one of our most deeply held values as we shape this thing.
Yep, and we carry it over into the gameplay. So something that we focus a lot on, and I hope you guys experience today or tomorrow, is these non-Twitch options that we have. It's funny, we were rehearsing this talk earlier for the team, and we have a very diverse team of developers that are working on this game. And I noticed there was this like age moment where somebody's like, do they know that Twitch doesn't mean streaming? And I don't know. You can tell just even who laughed at that, who understood what that meant. But what we talk about when we talk about
I'm young and hip. I wasn't laughing. Cool.
What we talk about when we're discussing things like non-Twitch options is giving you other things to do besides put crosshairs over targets. We know not everybody's great at that, and that's what drives people out of a lot of other shooters. It's okay when he's not on your team, but we want.
He's going to pay for that on Monday.
We want to welcome everybody into this universe in a lot of different ways, and one of the ways is making sure that we have play styles represented. I always notice there's those people in WoW who always, I always want to play a healer. It doesn't matter which healer it is, druid, priest, whatever. Yeah, it's awesome. So why can't we give you that in our game? Why can't we have things like that? So you can see Mercy's up there, and Mercy travels the battlefield like, sure, she can do a little bit of damage if she needs to, but really the right way to play Mercy is following your team around, healing them, and timing your abilities to the best of your ability. It's more about being in the right place at the right time. We've also got Torbjorn, one of my favorites. Hopefully you guys like playing building classes, because that's what Torbjorn is. He builds a turret. This guy is awesome. He's got a lot of character. I can't wait till you hear his voice and listen to him as you play. But playing Torbjorn is not about, how skilled are you with a rifle, and, can you take somebody out at 100 meters across the battlefield. Torbjorn's really about, I know the map really well, and I know that I want to lock down a certain area, and I'm making very strategic decisions that are going to help my team without me having to be the best, like, maybe I'm not in the WoW Arena finals right now today. I had another engagement, but otherwise I would have been there.
No, he wouldn't have.
I can't, no hope. It's like, I got 1,200 once, one season. That was the best. That was like Burning Crusade talk right there. The other thing that we wanted to do, because we felt we had a lot of players on the team who at first were nervous about a shooter, oh my God, I just die and die over and over again. And I can never, I never get any kills, I never help the team out. Well, we wanted to make the game less lethal. So this is kind of tricky to talk about, because every time I would mention it to somebody, we'd be talking around Blizzard and, hey, we're making this shooter and I'm really excited about it because we're going to try to make it less lethal. Then they sit down and play the game, And the first time they die, they're like, Jeff, you said the game was less lethal, and I just died.
What's going on?
So you will die in the game. It's designed that that's a part of the game. We're just hoping that you die less frequently than in current modern military shooters. So those games are great. We love them. We play a ton of them. And they're tuned very deliberately to deliver that realism experience. Well, we have this fantasy universe that we're creating here, and we want to have more uptime so players can, get in there, rumble, firefights back and forth. Maybe you seek out Mercy to get a heal, or Zenyatta's going to toss his healing orb on you. Get out of the battle a little bit.
It's like the thinking is, like, with more uptime, you're able to actually interact more. With all these, like, really unique heroes with all these special abilities, you're actually able to, get things off and get abilities off and actually come to the aid of your teammates, or, just get into more interesting tactical situations than, just the madness of, bullets flying everywhere, and you feel like you have no context. So longer uptime, more survivability means more interaction with the people that you're playing with.
Yeah, and Chris really hit the nail on the head when he said the team play comment, because the other way that we're hoping to make this super approachable and very much a Blizzard shooter is by focusing on that 6v6 team play. So we spent a lot of time looking into what should the team size be for this game. And we tried some things. We tried larger team sizes, 8v8, 12v12, that sort of thing. And what we found on the team was the more we played in these larger team sizes, the less important we felt, or the more inconsequential everything felt. Yeah. It was kind of chaotic. So, let's say Chris and I were on opposing teams, and we were having this cool skirmish, and he's Reaper, and I'm Tracer, and, oh, who's going to win? Well, all of a sudden, like, this freight train of 4 other players would come from the side and just kind of ruin the whole thing. So we felt like that wasn't a really, really good team size. The other thing we talked a lot about was trying smaller team sizes, maybe 4v4, 3v3, something like that. But our worry there, and the thing that we didn't like about those team sizes, were you were actually too important to your team. You were so critical that maybe you were having an off day, and suddenly your team hated you, and they're yelling at you, and oh my God.
I like how he says if you're having an off day. What that means is if Chris happens to be on your team,
yeah.
God,
oh God.
Our team, damn it.
Let me just tie my arm behind my back. So we've really found that 6v6 was sort of a magical number for us, and we'd love your feedback on it this weekend. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. But at 6v6, we felt like if you were a really strong, dynamic player and you were doing a lot of awesome things for your team, you could totally change the tide of battle. You could win it for your team. But it was also a team size where if you were having that off day and just kind of, fumbling, falling outside of the world, doing those things that tend to happen sometimes to all of us, you weren't so important that the team was mad at you. You could still win with somebody who wasn't really performing well on your team. So that's how we got to that team size. The other thing that we wanted to focus the game around when it came to that team play to achieve that approachability was that every single map is objective focused. So you'll see some attack defend maps. We have 2 of those here today, Hanamura and the Temple of Anubis. And then we also have a hybrid map that we call King's Row, which the first point you're doing an attack defend, and then for the second point you're escorting an EMP into this robot city. So everything that you're doing in the game is with a team focus. There's no deathmatch in Overwatch. Overwatch does not work with deathmatch. It's not a game about how many kills can I get as an individual. It's a game about how great is our team together when we sort of bond together and try to accomplish something. Yeah, you can clap for that.
Actually, I love that point, Jeff. When we set out to build a shooter, we thought a lot about, well, who are we, right? We're Blizzard. I think people expect certain things from us. We have a long legacy of multiplayer, developing multiplayer games. And it kind of came down to, like, is it even possible to build a shooter that doesn't feel cynical, that doesn't feel cruel, that doesn't feel nasty? Can you build one that, really promotes teamwork and relationship and having fun with your friends and, you know, not getting killed with a thrown knife from halfway across the map as soon as you jump into the match, you know. So, you know, we're trying to build this thing in such a way that it just feels evocative and fun and inclusive. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this next slide says it all.
Ultimately, it is about heroes. I love this about Blizzard. For all of our kind of, you know, fictional game worlds and all that stuff, we've always been fortunate to have developed heroes that people seem to care about. And we want Overwatch to just absolutely uphold that tradition. We want to fill it with characters that we hope that people will care about and have a lot of fun playing and just resonate with, you know.
I love when Tracer in the announce trailer at the very end says, you know, the world could always use more heroes. When we're talking about that line,
Damn straight.
yeah, it was, you know, obviously she's talking to kids, but we felt like that was us talking to you guys, you know, inviting you into the world.
It was us talking to ourselves, you know. Like, dead serious, right? We've been 20-something years we've been doing this and building video games, and you know, the world can often look like a damn mess. You know, are we part of the solution? We're part of the problem. And so I love the idea that we push ourselves to just embrace that heroic ideal through our fictions, even through our design. And this game really wants to, you know, embody that, you know, and be a little more hopeful, I think, you know, a little more heroic. So we wear that shamelessly.
Why don't you tell them about Tracer?
Why don't you tell them about Tracer? I would like to tell you about Tracer.
Elvis, we're going to win this race.
We're going to win that race. Tracer. Based on the intro that totally just happened. Based on the intro, you guys saw the character of Tracer. So she's super fun. She's a character that we are crazy in love with. She's just got this great personality. And we kind of want to use her right now as an illustration of how we approach these characters for Overwatch. This weekend, I believe we brought 12 playable characters this weekend. There are many, many more to come. But for purposes of the illustration, we'll just talk about Tracer. So we want to, I think we said it earlier, we want to create characters that have a very strong personality, they have a very strong backstory that you might understand, like why they do what they do, how do they get their abilities and technologies, and kind of what makes them tick. So we want to play a little video the team cut together for this panel that gives you a little insight into Tracer.
So, you want to hear my story? It all started a few years ago. Overwatch was looking for a hotshot pilot to test their next generation teleporting fighter, the Slipstream. Enter Lena Oxton. Call sign, Tracer. That's me. It was the sort of opportunity I dreamed of my whole life. But on my first flight, the teleportation matrix malfunctioned, and I disappeared. I was missing for months, and no one knew where or when I'd gone. By the time Overwatch found me, I was little more than a ghost. The doctors call my condition chronal disassociation. I faded in and out of existence, disappearing for hours and days at a time. And even when I was there, I couldn't touch anything. But my friend Winston would not give up. He kept at it, day and night, until he invented the chronal harness that keeps me anchored to the present. I was myself again. Even better, it turned my condition into something great. I had control over my own time, and I could speed it up and slow it down at will. My career as a pilot was over, but my life as an Overwatch agent had begun. Sounds like someone needs me, but don't worry, we'll have plenty of time for stories later. Cheers!
So that gives you at least a very brief look at Lena Oxton, Tracer. And in that way, you know, we're working on kind of stories and mythology behind all of these characters, right? It's just part of, to me, the funnest part of the whole process. We'll share more of that with all of the characters as we go. Not this panel today, but as we go.
Yeah, we wanted to give you the backstory of every hero in the panel, but we have 12 here, so we would spend most of the panel doing that. one thing that's pretty cool is if you guys go to playoverwatch.com, there are backstories up for all the heroes already. You can also watch the training videos that are out there on the show floor. So, you know, using Tracer as an example so you can get an idea of what all of the heroes in Overwatch are going to be like, we wanted to talk about the gameplay a little bit. And we were really excited to design these heroes. We have a great lead designer who's handling the hero design. His name is Jeff Goodman. He's a guy who designed things like Onyxia and Cthulhu and the Lich King, like one of our greatest designers at Blizzard. He's the guy leading the charge on the hero design, and he has an awesome philosophy when it comes to these heroes, where he wants to deliver abilities that are extremely simple in and of themselves and really fun to do in and of themselves and super useful in the maps. But when you put them together, you can use them in really interesting, deep ways to create great combinations. So I'm going to walk you through what's on Tracer so you can get an idea of, you know, what's an Overwatch hero going to do. So the most important thing about Tracer is her ability called Blink. And what Blink is it's just a short-range teleport that moves in whatever direction you're currently moving. So you're moving forward, you're strafing to the side, you're moving backwards. Tracer will blink instantly 10 meters in that direction. Well, the ability is regulated by a very simple energy system, a resource system we call energy. And if you're playing her, she's got 3 little ticks near her reticle, and those indicate how much energy she has. So what's fun about that is you can choose to, you know, blink very cautiously every once in a while, or if you want to throw 3 blinks out in a heartbeat and blink 30 meters across the map, have at it. You know, that's a lot of fun to do. It's funny, you know, one of the instant pieces of feedback we're going to get as people are playing out there is, you know, how come there isn't sprint on shift? And we feel like there's a lot of space in our Overwatch characters to explore lots of different abilities, sprint just being one of them, that eventually maybe we'll get to. But we don't want to just put sprint on everyone. That allows us to have room for things like Blink on Tracer. So, you know, check that out today and see how she moves. The other thing that she's got going on is a very simple set of weapons. They're called the Pulse Pistols. They are basically machine pistols that are hugely effective at short range because they've got a really high rate of fire, but a very small clip, so it goes, you know, pretty quickly. They almost feel like a shotgun blast. That's how quickly she can unload her guns. They're decent at medium range. You can still do some damage there, and they're pretty mediocre to useless at long range, but that's how she's designed. You know, use those blinks, get in there, do damage. Her other ability that she's got going on is called Recall. And this ability sounds confusing at first, but when you really get into what it does and when you really play her, it's extremely simple. What Recall does is it takes Tracer back in time to wherever she was 3 seconds ago. And what's super awesome about that is that also will restore her health pool to wherever it was 3 seconds ago. So if Tracer gets in there, takes some damage, hits her recall button and comes out, she'll be fine, right back where she was. It's almost like getting a free heal if you do it within 3 seconds. The other cool thing about that is it just absolutely confuses the daylights out of anybody you're fighting.
Where'd she go?
Yeah. She's blinking around, and then suddenly she recalls. And what you'll find as you gain more experience with the game, as you guys play it more, when you're playing against Tracer, you kind of have this running 3-second clock in your head.
Trying to track where she's been as opposed to, you know.
Like, okay, she was over there, so when she hits a button, she'll be over there again. Lastly, all of the heroes in Overwatch have what we're calling an ultimate ability. Most original, best name ever that we came up with. That ultimate ability is fueled by a resource. She has an ultimate meter. All of the Overwatch heroes have this meter. It's a big circular meter in the center bottom of the screen. When that fills up, you get to do your really cool thing. So in Tracer's case, she has the Pulse Bomb. The Pulse Bomb is a very short-range thrown bomb that she can throw out. It's sticky, so it'll latch on to any target that it hits, you know, including a player. If it latches onto them, you could throw it up against a wall, you know, behind a bastion or something like that. And then the bomb does devastating damage in a very small radius. So, you know, all of these abilities are cool and they're all super useful, but where it gets really exciting is where you see the abilities come together. So Tracer, for example, if I'm coming into a match and maybe Chris is playing Torbjorn and he's set up, you know, right near the team objective, Chris is defending the point by building his big turret right there, and our team just can't get past it. Well, I can come in as Tracer, I can triple blink, you know, 30 meters across the map, throw the pulse bomb on the turret, hit recall, and be out of danger instantly, and it's a lot of fun. So what we've done, because we were not able to provide a tutorial for the show space today, you know, we just have matches of Overwatch being played. We made all these training videos so everybody in line could watch and, you know, learn the abilities of the hero that they want to play before they get up there, you know, so they're prepared for their match. But we thought it'd be cool for the panel to show you the Tracer training video so you can see these abilities in action. So let's take a look at that now.
Cheers, love! The cavalry's here! Wicked! Let's try that again. Bombs away! Give me the time out.
She's fun. Poor Widowmaker. She's getting worked. So
Hi, I'm Jeff Brill.
And I'm Tim Ford. Welcome to the inaugural shoutcast of Overwatch.
a lip sync.
On defense in today's match, we've
There it is.
The hell's going on back there? So you guys got a good look. at-
Press recall, 3 seconds.
All right, excellent.
Never happened.
Never happened. It's just on video. So you guys got a good look at Tracer. Again, we wanted to use her as an illustration of the level of depth at which we're approaching all of these characters. They all feel very, 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 very distinct. So we want to very quickly kind of go through the other 12 characters we brought with us this weekend. We're going to try to align this with our slides as we go.
We'll do our best.
We're going to do our best. So as we start, we have Bastion, who's actually a war robot developed back during the Omnic crisis. He got jarred pretty hard, so now he's just this really peace-loving robot that loves nature, but if you piss him off, he turns into an emplaced assault cannon and devastates everything with hot lead. We have Hanzo, who is a peerless wandering assassin who was driven from his ninja clan years ago and seeks redemption through honing his murderous skills. We have Mercy, a former battlefield medic who developed a new kind of biotic healing stream, and with her combat flight suit, she's able to heal people dynamically across the battlefield and really hope to make a more peaceful world in the process. We have Farah, a former security officer. Farah kind of missed joining Overwatch. Her mom was part of Overwatch, and she always wanted to be part of it, and by the time she graduated from the academy, Overwatch was gone. So Farah, with her rocket suit and her devastating firepower, dreams of a world where Overwatch comes back to uphold the ideals of justice in the world. We have the enigmatic Reaper. Reaper's he's just a bad man. No one knows too much about Reaper, but his Hellfire shotguns are kind of feared throughout the world in hot spots and violent places around the world. This guy shows up and makes things worse always. We have Reinhardt, Wilhelm Reinhardt. Reinhardt was one of the original, he was one of the original Overwatch, part of the original Overwatch strike force with his combat suit and his rocket hammer. This guy's, he's not all together there after all these years. He's kind of like Don Quixote. He believes that he still lives in his chivalrous age and seeks to just dispense indiscriminate justice and fight valorously throughout the world. We have Symmetra. who has the technology, we call it like hard light technology. She's able to weave hard light constructs into being and kind of create turrets and teleporters and things all over the map, and a support role for her group. She literally weaves reality together from light, and so she's definitely the kind of person that believes that she's shaping a much better world, but I wonder about her true motivations, to be honest with you. We have Torbjorn. Torbjorn was also part of the original Overwatch strike team some 30 years before. He was one of the greatest, weaponsmiths and engineers of the world. He was conscripted into Overwatch to try and develop weapons to counter the Omnic crisis. And I think ultimately he fears one day his technologies and weapons being used to cause harm. So he definitely feels a responsibility to do good for the world. We have Widowmaker, who you saw in the intro. Widowmaker was taken and transformed. She was a very nice girl at one point and transformed into one of the world's deadliest assassins. Her blood literally runs cold, but we hope that one day, with some therapy and guidance, she can be nicer to people. We have Winston. We talked a lot about Winston. He is the super intelligent ape in a spacesuit that came from the moon with a lightning gun. And when you piss him off, he can kind of wigs out and becomes a horrific, raging ape. And in his off time, loves peanut butter and bananas. We have Zenyatta, one of my favorites. Zenyatta is an Omnic monk, part of a clandestine order of higher AI robots known as the Shambali. Zenyatta wanders the world seeking contact with humans and robots to one day hope that just by making contact and drawing people into relationship, we can heal the world and find a new way to be and kind of create a better society. But until that day comes, he's thrown in to use his abilities and energy abilities to fight the good fight and to protect people, wherever there are conflict areas in the world. So that's the 12 we came with this weekend. Like we said, there are many, many more to come. It's one of the funnest parts of Overwatch is getting to kind of work with the team to create these characters and how they interrelate and who goes back with who and who went to college with who and who has enmities that are long-standing. Super, super fun stuff. So we hope you've enjoyed at least a quick look at our growing pantheon of characters.
Yeah, we want to talk about their role. Yeah, they're awesome.
Thanks, guys.
We got more. So it was important to us when trying to create that team dynamic that we have hero roles. But I want to talk about these roles a little bit before getting into the specifics. It's important to note that a lot of you guys play World of Warcraft, so you know what I'm talking about. World of Warcraft has very rigid roles when it comes to wanting to do like a dungeon or a raid. It's often referred to as that holy trinity, right? You need a tank, a healer, and DPS. The roles in Overwatch are very loosely defined at best. So when I talk about the offense role or the defense role, really those characters are interchangeable and can play in other roles. The roles kind of exist to just more help you as a player identify, like, well, what type of character, or what's the type of play style I'm in. Or if you're not sure, and let's say you're on an attack-defend map and it's your job to defend, well, hey, pick one of the defense guys. It might help you out. So anyway, let's talk about the offense role a little bit. These guys are usually really high mobility, usually great damage dealers. They're out there scouting. They're the tip of the spear. They're usually the first ones to get to team objectives. They're not always the best ones to take the team objective on their own because they don't have hugely high survivability, but they like to get there fast. They have some of the most amazing movement abilities, like just looking at the four that are behind me. You've got Tracer. I already talked about her blink. Pharah's got a rocket suit, and she can fly around the map. The Reaper has an ability called Shadow Walk, where he can teleport all over the map. It's a lot of fun. It's more of an out-of-combat teleport. It's more of like that tactical, they're not looking, so I'm going to go over there and ambush. And then Hanzo, you saw in the gameplay movie earlier, he can run up walls. So if he sees a cool perch on a ledge or whatever, he can actually run and get right up there. And these guys, as it's evolved, we play a lot of Overwatch around Blizzard. There's a lot of Overwatch playing happening. We're staying late just to play the game because we have so much fun doing it. And we've actually started doing tournaments just on the team, which is a lot of fun. And one thing that we noticed as sort of team strategies were evolving, that the offense characters provided this role that we came to know as the harass. And what that means is you'd have a team trying to do something, very strategically together. You might have a Reinhardt and a bunch of his teammates are moving in with him, like sort of as a very organized group because they're going to do, press the objective. Well, you get somebody like Tracer or Reaper in behind that group, and it's very easy for them to get back there. They start bleeding the enemy out. It's almost like
break cohesion of the push, right?
Yeah, it's like the sickly gazelle syndrome. Often it's
Take
me,
the weak.
yeah, who gets taken out. So that's the offense guys. On defense, these are the guys who like to lock things down. So they like to control choke points, control the objectives, prevent the objectives from getting taken. Now, they can set up some static defenses. So if you take somebody like Bastion or Torbjorn, both of them can have an in-place defensive area. But you'll find they like to do that either near a choke point or near the objective itself, because the game has such high mobility. There's so many ways to move around the maps that if you try to lock down an area that's not a choke point or not an objective, someone else is just going to zip past you real quickly. You also have somebody like Widowmaker in this role. She's that sniper from afar. She's got this grappling hook that lets her to get anywhere she wants on the map. Really high, fun sniper perches all over the place. And like I said before, these guys are equally effective if you wanted to play them on offense. Yeah. On that King's Row map that we mentioned earlier, where you have that EMP moving through the map, one of the coolest things we see is when a Torbjorn tries to build a turret on top of the EMP, which you can do, and then it moves through the map, and the team has affectionately nicknamed that the Killdozer. So
bad news.
Yeah, and try, be nice to your fellow BlizzCon attendees. You don't have to be the guy who builds the Killdozer here at BlizzCon. Or at least just build it for a little bit and then take it down.
Yeah, right. That's going to be every other move.
15,000 Killdozers later.
Why don't you just name the game Killdozer?
Killdozer. Someone's trademarking that right now.
Which is a thought, yeah.
So then we have the tanks. And these guys are awesome. The tanks that we brought with us to the show today are Reinhardt and Winston. They have really high survivability. So not only is their hit point pool pretty large, but they both also have armor, which armor mitigates damage by 50%. So that's a nice boost for them, gives them high survivability. These are the guys that you want to follow in. If you see Reinhardt and he's got that big energy shield up, well, you as a teammate can shoot through that shield while enemy bullets are not going to come through it. Reinhardt's going to absorb those. So you see Reinhardt pushing the objective often. Winston can throw his shield down. His is actually a shield generator that forms a bubble, and the teammates can shoot, from inside the bubble out, but not the other way around. The cool part about Winston's is he doesn't even have to stick around for it. He could, throw it down on Torbjorn, who's guarding a point, and then leap off somewhere into the map. These guys are also really good at disrupting things. So when Winston goes into his primal rage, he knocks people around. So sometimes you need somebody to disrupt the existing defenses. So that's what the tanks are all about. Lastly is the support role. And this is probably the role that I'm most excited about for Overwatch, because I feel like this is a role that's going to speak to a lot of people who aren't normally into the shooter genre or sort of turned off by it. So the support role, they do a lot of things. They're not just relegated to being healers. I mean, sure, we have some that can do healing. Mercy can do healing, Zenyatta can do healing, but they have other things that they do as well. Mercy has, she has a choice. She's either has her healing stream engaged on somebody, or it turns into a damage boost. So it's a really fun mini game when you're playing Mercy, deciding, okay, am I healing or am I boosting my team's damage? Zenyatta can also debuff the enemy, so he can put the Orb of Discord on an enemy, and when that orb's on them, they take a lot of extra damage. And those stack, by the way, so be careful. Also, there's utility options. So Symmetra, who's one of the funnest characters to play, she can put out these, she can build little mini turrets. She can have up to 6 of them out at any time. She can stick them to the walls, ceilings, you know, all over the place. But what's really fun about Symmetra is she can get a teleporter out there, and then her entire team can teleport to her location. And what's interesting is you introduce people to Overwatch, and you talk about these characters, and they see someone like, you know, a Reaper or Reinhardt or Widowmaker, and they're like, oh, those guys must be devastating. Those must be the heroes that Overwatch is really all about. They're probably the ones winning all the matches, getting all the glory. And what we found on the team is that perfectly timed Mercy Resurrection, which is her ultimate ability, bring the entire team back to life, or the perfectly timed Symmetra teleporter in a location that the enemy doesn't notice close to one of the objectives, those are usually actually the turning points in the game. The support role gets to be the hero often in our game, which I think is pretty awesome. But we also have a lot of maps and game modes that come into play as well. So something we were trying to do with the maps was build these areas to be playgrounds for the heroes. We know that this is primarily a game about heroes, and we would have a lot of brainstorming sessions about, you know, what game modes do we want in this game, and a lot of them would get very convoluted and complex. You know, oh, first you get the foozle, and then you have to bring it to the widget, and then once there's 8 widgets, you bring it to the other foozle, and you know, these things that sound really cool, but we found when all was said and done, you weren't paying attention to what the heroes do. And you really haven't seen a shooter game with this many heroes in it at once. And you guys will realize that it takes some time to learn, you know, who's that guy coming at me and what do they do. So we want you to be focused on, okay, it's, you know, Tracer, and I need to focus on what she's doing, and less concerned about overly complex maps and modes. So we're perfectly fine, you know, when the game launches, only having a few maps and game modes that really work with the game, rather than trying to force the issue of, you know, oh, something that's cool about this game is dozens and dozens of different modes. But let's take a look at the maps. Let's talk a little bit about, you know, these locations and what they mean for the world of Overwatch.
Well, it's interesting. You know, when we were developing the hooks behind a lot of our maps, like Jeff said, you know, there's a lot of onus put on keeping the map gameplay and flow very simple and very learnable. But we love the opportunity they presented to kind of paint more of the palettes of the world. For instance, you know, one of our first maps is the Temple of Anubis, which is set again in our future fictionalized Earth on the Giza Plateau, at the base of this huge technological pyramid that some believe creepy AI experiments are being performed within this thing that might spill out and endanger the world. So we thought it'd be a super fun environment to run around and, you know, blast each other to smithereens. And it was a super fun area to kind of conceptualize, because we have these like really good, strong world hooks that inform the kind of flow of the space and the vibe of the space. And it's just been a really, really interesting way to approach, you know, developing, you know, the gameplay spaces. Hanamura is one of our very favorite locations. Pardon me. Hanamura is really fun because it's actually the hometown. When you see the map, part of it is kind of this suburban downtown area. And towards the northern extremity of the map, there's this like really beautiful temple grounds, this ancient castle. And it's actually the homeland of our character Hanzo, who left home many years ago in disgrace and is, you know, kind of, you know, travailing the world to regain his honor. Pardon me.
You hanging in there?
Yeah, I'm all right.
All right.
We're all right. So just to say that we put a lot of time thinking about the world locations and kind of how each of the characters relates to certain of these places. They tell a lot about who the characters are. I guess I want to take a moment. We didn't call it out in the PowerPoint we're working off of, but a lot of you may be wondering, like, well, is there narrative flow to the gameplay? I guess we didn't call that out yet. I do want to say, Overwatch has a lot of story. I mean, we're not a metric ton. It has just enough. Let's say it has just enough story. But ultimately, the game, you know, 6v6, you know, matches. The narrative aspect of Overwatch is not inherent in the gameplay. That's probably obvious by now. we're actually trying an experiment with Overwatch where the flow of the world and the storytelling that links these characters together and kind of pushes the whole franchise forward over time, we're actually going to try that outside of the game. So that's something that's very different for us. With Warcraft and other big games we've done over time, it's all kind of one-to-one. And we felt this time around that trying to over-storify certain of these gameplay spaces just didn't serve either science. So kind of like the intro you guys saw earlier, our hope is that we get to do more stuff like that and ultimately push the world forward and really let you see the power of these characters as they interact. So, yeah.
Cool. You want to talk about King's Row a little bit?
I do indeed. So King's Row is really fun. I'm set again in a fictional version of jolly old England. The interesting thing about King's Row is that 30 years ago during the Omnic crisis, King's Row had its own population of Omnics. And interestingly, they built their city beneath the streets of King's Row. So what's really fun about this map is that there's this whole population that kind of lives beneath the ground, and certain dastardly people have decided we're going to send this EMP down there and take out all those robots.
It's really mean.
It's very cruel.
Super mean.
I don't know who would do that, attacking team. So if you guys play, shame on you this weekend.
Take a stand and only be on the defending team.
Exactly. 6 versus, yeah. So it's just really fun. You can see that some of the textures of world and story are very evident in the maps. It's just there's no linear. I totally just spit on you. I saw it go right there. That was awesome. We're very close.
We're close.
Yeah. Next.
Okay. All right, so we've spent a lot of time now talking about the game. We've gone into the heroes, we've gone into the abilities, we've gone into the roles, the maps, the modes. We try to tell you guys as much as possible. But what we realize is there's no better way for you to get an understanding of the game than to see a match played, or better yet, when you guys go and play yourselves. That's what we're really excited for. But for this panel, we want to have a moment where you kind of saw it all come together. So what was interesting is we really wanted to have a match that we could shoutcast, the first ever inaugural shoutcast of Overwatch. But then we're sitting around and there was like 70 of us who actually knew about the game. So we're like, well, I guess we have to be the pro gamers. I personally think we're pretty badass and super great.
Yeah, for the next 5 minutes till you all get on it.
Yeah, but it's pretty awesome. So you're going to get to see Blizzard developers playing a competitive match of Overwatch shoutcast. So just a couple of caveats that I want to throw out there. One, we're not pro gamers, and two, our shoutcasters are also not pros. We had the awesome Jeffrey Brill and Tim Ford, who are programmers on our team, shoutcast it. So they're pretty excited to do that for you guys today at BlizzCon. And then also, one just minor housekeeping note. We really encourage when you play Overwatch to switch heroes often. Overwatch isn't a game where you have to lock into a hero at the beginning of the match and then you can't swap off of them. You can swap heroes every single life that you're out there. And we actually encourage players to do that. That's actually the best and right way to play the game. But for the shoutcast video, we sort of, we had 6v6, we had 12 heroes that we're showing you guys at BlizzCon. We kind of said to the developers, everybody play one unique hero so that way they'll get to see them all in action. So I don't think I could put any more disclaimers on or caveats on that.
That was a total disclaimer.
Total disclaimer. I should now shut up, and you guys should enjoy the first ever, I should call it something different. This is the World Finals at BlizzCon 2014 for Overwatch.
Overwatch.
Welcome to Overwatch.
Hi, I'm Jeff Brill.
And I'm Tim Ford. Welcome to the inaugural shoutcast of Overwatch.
On defense in today's match, we've got Zenyatta and Symmetra, both support classes. We've got Widowmaker, a sniper. Reaper and Pharah, both offensive assault classes. And Reinhardt, a tank. Things you might watch out for are Symmetra's got a teleporter that could be instrumental for her team getting back into the fight as quickly as possible, and Reinhardt's enormous shield that his allies can shoot through but enemies cannot.
On the attacking team, we're looking at Tracer and Hanzo to provide some offensive DPS, Winston to tank some hits, Mercy to keep everyone alive, and a curious ad here with Bastion and Torbjorn. Normally those two heroes are reserved for kind of a static defense role, but what's really fun about having them play on this map, on a payload map, is while normally they're locked down with their abilities, they have to stay in place, if they do that on the payload, they can move and kill. Hopefully we'll see one of my favorite plays from Torbjorn where he gets a turret on top of the payload, the infamous Killdozer.
Now entering King's Row.
Let's kick it off. Let's look at King's Row. Here we are, we're getting a good look at the main defensive artery on King's Row. Defense is going to haul down following this blue line to the foot of Big Ben, where they're going to meet the first of a 2-point capture payload map.
The attackers will capture that by standing on a little circle that we'll get to in a second, and then they're going to push a payload through the rest of the map all the way to the end of the level. So the beginning is kind of a tug-of-war over at this point, and then it turns into just a tug-of-war over an actual payload that's moving through the mission.
Fighting on this point, they basically have to, as the attacking team, hold it uncontested as long as they can. Holding just means standing on it and not dying. The defense, however, is going to try to put as much pressure on that point as they possibly can to take them out.
And you can see this red line here. This is where the attackers are going to come from. They'll spawn up in this church ahead, and then they're going to come down this red line and try to take that point. Of course, there are a lot of little nooks and crannies and side alleys that the attackers can use to try to get around the defensive position that the defenders will set up.
And Overwatch features a bunch of high mobility classes. We'll see one here with this grappling hook. These classes can get anywhere. It's really important that the levels are porous and have a lot of different avenues of access.
I like that word, porous. Now, here we see a Harmony Orb goes on top of Reaper here. That's going to provide him a little tiny bit of healing over time, so he's probably going to be topped off most of the time. And now he's also, Symmetry gives him a shield as well. That's going to give him a ton of HP.
Yeah, throwing that shield on there with the Zenyatta Orb is going to help his survivability as he harasses the attacking team. Here we see Symmetra throwing a couple turrets out. She puts one under the bus, which is super, super rude.
And here we've got the attacking team spawning in. You can see Winston up in the front there and the rest of the team behind him. And they're all kind of deciding which exits they want to go through here. There are 4 exits from this building, and Torbjorn's already got a turret in the main entrance. Bastion's looking out the left-hand side here with Mercy. It looks like the game is just about to begin here.
Which is now.
And
hey,
the doors are open. All right, Bastion going out the left-hand side with Mercy healing him up. Looks like she does a Guardian Angel through this little gap, gets her away from Pharah's rockets there. And looks like she wants to stand next to Bastion and keep him alive as long as possible.
And Guardian Angel is kind of key, too. It allows Mercy to stay with whatever high mobility class she's with. She can zoom right to
Oh, but right here she's got a Reaper
Never mind.
coming in to try to take her out. He's taking a lot of damage, though, but he's got, with that Harmony Orb and that shield, his HP is almost back to full already.
You can see here, he's doing a fine job keeping half of the attacking team occupied. The Tracer just jumping around trying to get a beat on him, and the Reaper keeps walking through, regenerating his health.
She can't find him, and he dodges back the other direction, and Tracer is just lost now. Now he's coming in, he wants another shot at this Bastion, he wants to take out this Mercy. Oh, and he gets his ult, he does a huge Death Blossom, takes out all 3 people. Oh my gosh, that's half of the attacking team already dead just to this Reaper.
Taking off a 5-player kill streak, he's got 2 more victims right in front of him.
Oh, there's one of them goes down. Looks like he really wants this Hanzo as well. He's going up for it. That Harmony Orb just really difficult to get through for the attackers.
Dat Harmony Orb.
Yep. And now this Reinhardt's here. He's got the huge hammer, and he's going to try to take out one more. He goes for the Tracer. Doesn't quite pin her, though. But now looking from the Tracer's perspective, she manages to get her ult. That's that Pulse Bomb onto Reinhardt. And does a ton of damage. Doesn't quite kill him, though, but with the Mercy boost, she manages to take him down.
And she's going to try to regroup. She was hanging in before with, looks like Mercy's got back on top of her. She was with Mercy and Winston before, but they seem to have gotten split up. And this Symmetra has put together quite an evil little web of short-range sentry turrets. Symmetra's staying alive, taking a bunch of damage, but doing a bunch of damage.
Absolutely, and you generate your ult for any class by dealing or taking damage. Oh, Symmetra does just enough to take out that Tracer right there. Very evil. But by building up that ult, it's going to allow Symmetra to maybe put down a teleporter relatively soon.
Yeah, that's her ultimate ability, and that's really clutch when you're on defense or on offense. Honestly, it's like the coolest ability ever.
Yeah, there's so many cool abilities, though. I mean, it's a good one, but...
Like, that. 1.21 gigawatts.
Straight into the face. But it looks like the attackers, they've grouped up. There's 3 of them here now. They might go for the point.
Yep.
Yeah, Winston leaping forward. Mercy using that Guardian Angel again to follow him onto that point. Reinhardt is actually here. He's just totally unsure what to do.
We saw the Tracer actually run around to the right-hand side. Probably going to go deal with, oh, never mind, cutting to Symmetra. We're seeing her here with her ult ready. She places that teleporter. That's going to be incredibly critical. the defense, as they die, are going to be able to take that teleporter and get right back into the action.
Oh, this is
very
awesome.
quickly.
Just like the cinematic right there. Tracer getting right up behind.
What you looking at?
But doesn't quite take out the Widowmaker. So close right there. But Widowmaker jumps down.
Oh, here's my favorite move. Blink, blink, pulse bomb, recall.
Oh, Reinhardt goes down.
Right back where you started. All right, now we're seeing that teleporter in use. We've got 2 folks running through it so far, a third coming right behind. You can see here how critical that teleporter is. Basically, the defense, even though they're dying, are able to get right back onto the point.
And now it looks like Pharah's flying around here, trying to do a bit of damage. Death Blossom actually comes out from the Reaper. Doesn't quite take out Bastion, but he does go down to that the little orb thingy
On the
from
left-hand side there,
Symmetra.
you can see that Torbjorn's put up a turret. That might be just the push they need in order to hold this point.
Yeah, it looks like the defenders don't actually have any answer for that. Pharah's going to come up here and do a rocket barrage onto the point.
A rocket barrage.
Torbjorn
Just
just
kill
gets
half the team.
demolished. And she actually takes out the Winston shield. It has so much HP, but the Torbjorn turret does take her down. The defenders just haven't really found a good answer to it.
Yeah.
And here's Hanzo from the offense, straight through the
She got
neck
the point.
into that Widowmaker.
That seals the deal. Looks like the attacking team is taking the point at the foot of Big Ben. Look, kids, Big Ben, Parliament. You see here the payload rolling out. So the objective changes now. The attacking team is going to have to stay with that payload and move it all the way down that road we saw at the very beginning, all the way into Robot City. The rules are pretty straightforward. As long as they stay near or on the payload, it'll move forward. If they die, the payload will stop for a moment and then start to roll back. The defense is going to try to find some way along the street to put some pressure on the attacking team so they can't take it.
So it looks like that Bastion has set up on the payload, and he's going to be firing forward. Normally he's a static defender, but when the payload is moving, it moves for him. Now this Reinhardt's going to try to get behind him to do a lot of damage because Bastion can't turn around. He's taking some damage from, it looks like a Hanzo up in the top left, but
He's shrugging off some damage from Hanzo. I think he just thought he had a small headache.
he's kind of a pincushion. He's just so much HP, he doesn't even care. Now he does get behind them, and he pins the Torbjorn to the back of the payload. Brutal. And he takes out the Bastion, and the Winston manages to take out Reinhardt. That's a good trade right there, but it has really shut down the progress of this payload. It's moving forward a little
he's
bit.
moving alone, but I don't think he can push that by himself. This is a really tight alley to get shot up. In fact, he's taking, oh, no, it looks like they have a teleporter on play. So the Reinhardt just died, is already back in play because of that teleporter that's been put in the subway. Again, that's going to cut down, look how quickly they can get to that payload, put pressure on the offense.
And now this Winston is ulting right here. He's an enraged monkey. He's doing a lot of damage, but this Transcendence is really going to shut him down. This is a huge AoE heal for the defending team. And it looks like they've actually pushed the Winston all the way back. He knows that his enrage doesn't last long enough to fight this. He decides to come back in, and he just dies immediately.
So go to the Widowmaker. You can see she's really trying to lock down this street. She had a total beat on that poor Torbjorn.
Looks like she's looking for another kill here. Oh, going for the Hanzo, not quite, and the second
knocked
shot
Hanzo
takes
out.
him down.
Oh, and Mercy
What a
gets
res.
him back online.
And he's coming back up. He gets out of range of that sniper as soon as he can. Zenyatta doesn't really react. Hanzo gets the kill here.
It looks like Hanzo really wants to make his way around, take that Widowmaker out. She's locking that. Oh, no, never mind. That's a Reinhardt. Back up. Yeah, there's no way Hanzo's going to solo that guy, not in that close quarters.
Absolutely not. Just he's got so much HP. Hanzo, you saw earlier, he took 4 arrows to the face and barely felt it. Now it looks like Hanzo's got a position. This is actually behind where the attackers
Yeah, the defense
are.
doesn't see it. They're actually walking past him. They don't see he's there. Oh, no, that Widowmaker saw him. He's right up top. Oh, no, looks like that Hanzo got off his dragon just in time. Widowmaker couldn't quite take him out.
This has angered the Reinhardt. Reinhardt knows where he is now. He's coming in for it. He gets a charge off, but Hanzo does the wall climb and gets out of range. And now a Tracer is there as well. Reinhardt's trying to keep that shield up and block one direction, but he can't block both sides, and he goes
So the
down.
Tracer's going into the subway, probably to go find that teleporter that was there before. But as you can see, the Symmetra is repositioned. She's placed a new teleporter, and that's going to give the defense an edge as they go to put pressure on that payload. While she's here, of course, looks like they can lock down this corner again, particularly if they get that Widowmaker back in position.
And now we see a Pharah jump up in the air, fire off a huge ult, takes down the Bastion, but does not go through that Winston shield very well. They're trying to just keep the attackers off of the payload and keep it from moving forward. And Winston comes for Pharah, and she just jumps over this house. Pharah can fly. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, Winston doing a good job just trying to keep that payload moving. But he looks like he's soloing it. Oh, no!
Oh, he's going for this
range.
Widowmaker. Yeah, this Widowmaker has been getting such clutch snipes off, and now he's just knocking her around. He's going crazy. He's jumping all over the place. And there he lands, and he does take out the Widowmaker. She goes down. That's going to really open up an opportunity for the attackers to make some progress.
Probably slow down the rate of clutch snipes we're going to see over the next few minutes. Oh, never mind.
He gets pinned straight into a wall.
All right, so like we mentioned, this teleporter is going to be coming to play that Widowmaker. She had just died. She's right back into the action very quickly.
And you can see the payload is right there with Reinhardt protecting it. And Pharah, as she comes out of this teleporter, she can actually shoot straight into where the payload already is. Yeah, there she is. Oh, the Torbjorn again.
Shot again.
Oh, this poor Torbjorn. He keeps trying to get a turret down somewhere. It looks like she's going for another kill, though. Oh, Tracer. Oh, poor Tracer.
That's
She's
a
got
bummer.
such low HP, made up for by high mobility, but she's just walking through a hallway. She will go down fast.
So mobility will pay dividends here, though. Looks like Tracer's going to try to hunt around on the high ground, get around to the side where Widowmaker's stationed and take her out. Widowmaker's locking down that corner. She really has to die.
And it is important as a Widowmaker to move after getting a couple kills because your opponent can see where you're hiding in kill cams. Now Tracer's found her, and she's really edging for this
Yeah,
kill.
she wants
here.
this kill bad.
And doing a lot of damage, does not
Okay,
quite get
close
it.
enough.
Doesn't quite get it. Oh, but she goes down, and Ally finishes her off. Now she's fighting the Symmetra. This is a huge moment for the defenders right here. The teleporter is right behind Tracer, but she has not noticed it. She's fighting against the Symmetra,
Oh,
and
she
she
sees
sees
it.
it. She's going for it. She wants to get in there, gets a
Has a
time
pulse
bomb
bomb.
off, blinks away, and that teleporter is down.
This could be the turning point. Yeah, it looks like the attackers have not only taken out that teleporter, but they're getting that Bastion in line down that long sightline, that long alleyway where Widowmaker was putting so much pressure on them before.
And he does such huge damage when he's in deployed form. He can just shred even the tank classes in this game.
He's got us back to the subway. It's going to be really hard to get flanked.
But he's going to have to work really fast. If you look at the top, there's actually only 8 seconds left on the clock. Now that could, if they stay on the payload as they are right now, they will go into overtime mode.
So it looks like we're entering overtime right now. As long as they stay on the payload, they can push it to the next checkpoint. The checkpoint's just to the left, just past that cool red column right there, right around the corner.
If they do make it to that checkpoint, then they get 2 minutes added to the clock, which that may give them an opportunity to push through to the end right here.
Yeah, it looks like the defenders have fallen back. They're not putting any resistance. They're going to cede this checkpoint over. And we're looking at it now. I think our good buddy Torbjorn is trying to get a killdozer going.
He's going for that teleport.
Yeah, look at that. Dragon
yeah,
Strike.
there's the turret.
That Dragon
It's
Strike
down.
up front is giving them just
Oh, and a
enough
molten
time.
core from the Torbjorn. Oh, he's coming back in right now. He's got his ult up. That's going to make him build turrets much faster and give him a ton of HP. He's got his hammer out. Yeah, behind, oh, but a big res brings his team right back into the action. He's actually getting sniped right now, but he has so much HP, and with the Mercy healing him, that sniper is not going to take him out. That turret is up. It's doing a lot of damage. It's shooting everything it can see, and that turret it looks like they have no answer to it. Oh, but that shield just
that would have
misses
been really
the
helpful.
payload.
I mean, look how much they moved from the top of the checkpoint.
This thing
and they're
does so
almost
much
to the top
damage,
of the
though.
ramp.
Even Reinhardt here, he can't stand up to that. Yeah, he goes running away. He
There's
knows that he
only
has no
like,
chance
what,
against
15,
that.
20 meters to the end. That circle right there is where they need to go.
It's right there. They just need to go down that ramp,
This
and then they're
killdozer
right
is
there.
paying huge dividends.
But
They
it's
can
low
keep
on
marching
HP.
this
You
thing.
can see it starting to smoke. Oh, but it takes out that Pharah. Now Reinhardt charges through, so Torbjorn can't heal it anymore.
Oh,
and
no, the
Widowmaker
killdozer
manages to
goes
kill
down.
it. But Reinhardt, Winston's duking it out on the bottom. Tracer comes in, throws a pulse bomb, and does kill off that Reinhardt.
Tracer retreating as offense, retreating back into the defensive area. I think she's going to pull the same nonsense harass that Reaper did on their team at the very,
Now,
very beginning.
look how close it is to the end. Oh my gosh, it's just inches away. They need to get the payload completely into that circle for the game to be over. But it's right on the edge. They just need to push it a few inches further, but the defenders don't want to let them. They've got this Zenyatta ult going off. This is going to keep all of the defenders alive for a long time.
Oh, they're
Reinhardt
inching it forward
comes
just a little
charging
bit
in.
more.
Oh, the shield is up. The Winston is knocking back Reinhardt, but Reinhardt got his ult off and knocks down the Winston at the same time. Winston gets sniped in the head, and now the attackers actually have good presence here. The attacking Tracer is trying to fight off this Zenyatta, and it looks like Tracer
Doing an
is doing
amazing
so
job.
much
Just
damage.
pulls off a pulse bomb,
Time
takes
bomb
out that
gets off the
Widowmaker.
Widowmaker, and now the Bastion is being forced to move by Reaper, but Bastion is walking forward. It's so close.
Oh my
it's
God,
on
they
the
can push it.
edge.
They're right
Come on,
there.
right here,
If you
right
want to be
here,
it.
just inches
Oh,
away.
no,
And
that
they
Reaper
can't
took out
get
the
it. The
Bastion.
Reaper is still there.
Huge res!
Huge res.
This could be it. This is the last possible push they can make. They have half their team on the point right now. All they need to do, yeah, that rocket barrage really sealed the deal. Half their team taken out right after that res.
And
Winston's
the
still
Winston's
pushing.
still fighting for it. The
Oh
Winston,
no, takes a death
oh!
blossom to the face. That might spell the
How
end.
is it not over?
Well, because
Who's
now
alive for the attackers?
defense has to teleport over. Oh, look, there's a Tracer right there.
Tracer still alive, still on the payload, still trying to push it, just inches forward, recalls and brings back some of her HP, and she's blinking all over the place.
She just
Got
needs to
Venom
stay
Trap
alive,
on her,
keep that thing
blinking
moving.
all over. She does not want to, but she does. She goes down in the back, and that's going to be it. They just need to keep all of the attackers off for 2 more seconds.
This
The
is
game will
it.
be over. This could be it for the defenders.
I think
and there
this
it
is
is, defender victory.
I can press a button.
You did well. Well, guys, you got pretty much a fairly comprehensive look at Overwatch right there. What'd you guys think? It is super fun. We've had so much fun. You're just playing this game at the shop. We can't wait to hear and see what you guys have to think as you get your hands on it. We were so excited to be able to show this to you guys today and share this new Blizzard world with you guys. Ultimately, what do we got? Beta,
Beta's in 2015.
2015.
Hopefully you guys can all sign up at playoverwatch.com. We'd love to have your thoughts. We want you playing out there. Go talk to the developers. They're all manning the stations out there. Tell us what you think. This one's in development, so you can have a big impact on the game.
Absolutely.
We want to make it together. We want to create this universe together.
Absolutely. So, at this time,
I guess we have a little bit of time for questions.
how long do we have?
I have no idea.
Well, okay. Where are we starting? Oh, I'm good. Thank you. Right.
Yep.
What do you think, Jeff?
I think they have a line over there, it looks like.
Sorry, guys, we can't see from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good to go.
Hello? Hello?
Hey, how's
Yes.
it going?
How you guys doing?
What's up?
Good, how are you
This
doing?
game looks badass. All right, my question is, you're mentioning the story being told outside of the game. I was curious if you meant outside of like the gameplay or outside of like the interface, like blog posts and websites, stuff like that.
I definitely meant outside of the game in a number of different ways, some very, very cool ways. We're going to tell more about that as we go. We're going to save kind of some revelations about that for kind of later on in the process. But we definitely loved kind of the kind of animation vibe we brought with the trailers. So you can bet we'll be using that form to tell a lot more of the story.
Thank you.
This is madness. Where's everybody going?
It's awesome. It's BlizzCon.
This is Sparta.
Hey,
Hey,
how's it going?
What's up?
Good. Awesome game, by the way. Looks cool. Two games I like are Heroes of the Storm and Left 4 Dead. And kind of their one overlap is the characters kind of share dialogue and moments in the gameplay. And are you playing anything like that for Overwatch?
absolutely. In fact, we spent a lot of time working with all the voice actors that you'll hear to bring out the character. One of the challenges with the game is that it's first person. And we have an absolutely amazing lead concept artist by the name of Arnold Sang. He's the guy who envisioned these great heroes that you're seeing. And we see these guys, and one of the first instincts is, oh my God, everything should be in third person so you can see the art and really get to know and love the character. But we worked really closely. We have a really great sound team, you know, Paul Lackey and Scott Lawler. They had a lot of ideas about what we could do. And we have a great casting director, Andrea. And we really worked with the actors to capture the spirit of who these heroes are. So as you're playing, they're constantly talking. I think you heard a little bit of like Tracer when we did the training video. So when you guys go down to the show floor, make sure you play with the headphones on and just listen to the characters. It's a lot of fun. So we're all over it. We're huge fans of Left 4 Dead and love what they're doing in Heroes as well.
Hello. Have you determined if it's going to be free to play or a one-time purchase?
We're not really talking about the business model today. Especially, you're asking the two wrong guys like me and Chris. We're like, oh, let's design a hero and make it do cool stuff.
Whatever it costs.
We're all over it. Yeah. We are sure that there are smarter men than us figuring that out right now. The one thing we know is we want to deliver an awesome experience that players love and will enjoy in some way that they think is fair to them.
Yeah, sure. First, I just want to say thank you for making and finally announcing this game. My question was this Titan? And if it was not, how much of it is Titan or was influenced by it?
How to answer that one? Many of you may have seen, was it about a month ago? We did a big article with Polygon kind of putting Titan to bed. That had actually happened a long time ago. I think Mike Morhaime, upwards of was it about a year ago, year and a half ago?
Yeah, something like that.
Kid had made an announcement that like, look, we're looking, we had been doing this thing called Titan, whatever it was going to be, and it was trying to be a lot of things, and we decided internally to go another way. So what really happened was we decided to go this way. Overwatch is a very different game than what we were planning to build, and it's kind of weird. Like it's like we don't even want to get into what we were planning to build. It was kooky and ambitious. It's a long-term relationship, but I think there are elements to Overwatch that probably have some kind of spiritual continuity. To tell you for nothing, like, you know, there were ideas behind Titan that were kind of Earth-based and things like that. So there are, you know, a couple of locations and some ideas that we kind of used to platform off of as we began to ideate on Overwatch. But it would be hard to exactly explain to you just how different they are and how the big thing with Overwatch, I think, was for whatever Titan was going to be, we decided to make a game about heroes. And that transformed our thinking about what we wanted to build, how we wanted it to play, how we were going to think through the process of ideation and kind of build a very different idea, just distilled in a totally different way. So I would say they're pretty different, you know, but there are some components that, sure, we kind of always say, from the games we've done in the past, there's always elements that we really love. There's game design things that we might not have been able to make work in this form or that form, but we're always, you know, kind of willing to kind of pick up and take a good idea wherever it falls. So I'm sure there were plenty of ideas from the development we had done that informed this, but this is its own thing with its own personality and its own kind of animus.
Thank you. Great, thank you.
Good. All right. I just wanted to ask if there was no plans for a campaign. Well, how would you do story in like gameplay?
Well, like we said, we are not currently planning on doing narrative story in the context of these maps. We have some ideas on how to do story, but we're kind of today as we're announcing the product, announcing the game, we got plans, man. We got things we want to try. We got things we're going to do. We're just not ready to talk about them yet. But
I do think there's some cool elements. Like when you go and play and you listen to the characters, I think you'll start to realize that their personalities really come out, and there is backstory there. Yeah. And then there are locations like in Hanamura, at the final capture point, and good luck if you can actually take the time to notice this if the whole enemy team is not attacking you, but there's like a slash behind the sword on the stage at the final point in Hanamura. So there are a lot of story hooks going into the environment. Something that we often reference on our team a lot is the way that there's what we call environmental storytelling in World of Warcraft. So like a great example is, if you walk into the throne room in Lordaeron, there's a crescent of blood on the ground, where if you had been a Warcraft 3 fan and you watched that awesome cinematic where Arthas killed his father and the crown, fell to the ground, and then you're playing World of Warcraft, you have that moment of, oh my gosh, this is where this thing happened. Well, we're trying to do that in these maps as well. So there's a lot of sort of, I don't want to call them hidden, but sort of...
It's kind of like evident history.
Yeah.
Shapes a lot of our map ideas, but very specifically on our storytelling, it's near and dear to this product. We're developing what I hope you guys will find is an awesome story. But we're going to try it a little different this time. And we're going to try and do more of, use a lot of animation, a lot more freely. So we're not ready to announce anything specifically that way, but stay tuned, because we've got some cool stuff planned.
Great, thanks.
Hi. My question is if there is going to be any crossovers between any of your existing games, will there be a Bronzebeard skin for Torbjorn or Torbjorn?
Torbjorn.
That's an awesome idea. I don't know what else to say, but that's an awesome idea.
That's saying.
Hi. I just wanted to know, in Warcraft 3, there's 3 spells. Can you actually upgrade any of these spells in Overwatch, or is there any sort of customizations?
No, there's no customization to the gameplay currently. Early on, we experimented. We had a pretty robust customization system and working on the team. And what we found was, because the game is about so many different heroes, it actually got overwhelming to track exactly what was happening. It's also a much faster paced game. A game like Heroes of the Storm, we find that there's this really sort of deliberate team play and a sort of pacing where you can have progression to the characters that makes sense. There's longer respawn times. The match times are a little bit longer. But Overwatch is pretty frenetic, and you'll see that when you go and play. And a concern of ours was, I have no idea what that Reaper is doing right now. So we actually stripped that system out, and we're looking at other things right now. But customizing your abilities was something we tried, and we felt like, initially at least, didn't work for us.
Thank you.
Hi, my question's pretty simple. Consoles? At some point?
That sounds awesome. That sounds really, really cool. All we're announcing today is that we are definitely going to be on the PC. And we're very proud of Blizzard's contribution to PC gaming. We feel like Blizzard's been a big part of keeping it alive. There's kind of that, every couple of years, they say PC gaming's dead, and we feel like you guys prove them wrong every couple of years. But yeah, right on. But with that said, we would love to see Overwatch played on whatever it could be played on, and that's to be seen in the future.
Hi, so sort of tailgating into that last question, what are the system requirements you guys are aiming for? Should I go buy a new PC right now?
Well, I'm sure all the vendors at the show would love you to go buy a new PC right now. I think it's a little bit too early to be talking about systems. So we haven't even done our final optimization, so it's a little bit too early to be talking about that. I think something to note, though, is Blizzard has a pretty good track record at running on a good broad range of machines. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Remember, our previous releases were always, we weren't that company that you had to buy the new computer for.
We want as many people to play as can play, you know, wherever you're at. So we're trying to keep it pretty chill.
All right, thanks.
Hi, how's it going?
Hey.
Since there's going to be such a big pool of players, a big pool of characters, actually, what's going to keep people from being all e-healers or all tanks or all DPS, and how's that going to balance carry over, like, to, you know, the different missions that are going to be going on?
It's hilarious that you brought that up because, you know, in our internal tournament, that was one of the gimmick strategies we'd always try to come up with. Like, for example, there was a strategy called the Forbjorn, which is 4 Torbjorns, and then there was the Quinston, which is 5 Winstons.
Nerds.
But yeah, it was 5 Winstons and a Zenyatta, to be specific, which was pretty fascinating. Or actually, it was a Pharah. But we've found so far with the balance of the game that you're actually sort of hindering yourself more than helping yourself by overloading. We're trying to tune and balance the game in a way that, you know, two-ish of a hero is very viable and fun. We don't want to make it so a hero is exclusive, and if somebody else is playing, like, for example, if you want to play Tracer, but somebody else on your team is playing Tracer, that's not viable. We're not going to tune and balance it that way, but we also are looking at the other extreme end, which is, you know, 6 Tracers or whatever. We have a really great balanced crew. We have some really amazing designers. Scott Mercer, Mike Heiberg, Jeff Goodman. These are guys who, you know, basically early on balanced WoW, balanced StarCraft, Warcraft 3. So we're really excited to have, just between those 3 guys is 48 years of game design experience at Blizzard. So we have faith that they can balance the game. So I think we'll be in a good place.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Hi. I think you already answered as far as customizing skills, but what about skins? What if I want to be a boy Tracer or a girl Reaper?
We think that's an awesome idea. It's not something that we, have here at the show today or are planning to talk about. There's not really part of the game right now, but it sounds like a super killer idea. We like it.
Hi. The gentleman who just asked about overloading tunes on a map, that was my question. So what communication mechanism is in place for a party to communicate as the map is going on for strategy and stuff?
That's a great question. It's actually, I'm really glad you asked that, because you'll notice out on the show floor when you play, chat is totally disabled. We actually have a chat system. There's a party system. You can do party chat, which is separate from team chat. A team might be a group that you get put together with, and you might not know those people. A party is a group that you formed on your own with your friends and went into the matchmaking pool with. So there's party chat, team chat. So there's a pretty robust chat system. We're also working on and experimenting with right now a number of different in-game communication systems, using the VO system and using the chat system. So none of those are available here at the show floor, but it's something that we're really concerned about. Social is one of the things that we want to bring out the most in our games, and we're constantly talking about ways to do that and enhance that. So you'll be seeing more and hearing more about it in the year to come.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, so what kinds of plans do you guys have in mind for longer-term goals or drives for the players, such as a leveling system or an achievement system, something along those lines?
We definitely want to have those types of systems in the game. And I'm sorry, I sound like a broken record. I'm like, we don't have it here at the show today. But that is sort of the answer. We're not really featuring that or putting it on the show floor. But if you look at our other games, ranging from World of Warcraft to, Hearthstone, obviously like long-term investment and progression, just feeling like, my time spent in the game was worth more than just the short-term fun. There was some long-term game. We will definitely be focused on that, and we'll definitely add things. I was a huge proponent of the achievement system in WoW, and I was very involved in the design for that. So that's something, eventually I'd love to see something like that in this game as well.
All right, so just to clarify, you guys are, for VO, that's like emotes, like for Left 4 Dead or whatever, that kind of thing. Are you sticking with text chat, or are there any plans for voice chat in-game?
Man, we would love to have voice chat in game. That would be pretty amazing. It's interesting on the PC that a lot of players, even when a game has voice chat, they favor outside systems, because a lot of gamers like to switch around games and hang out and voice chat with groups. So we're kind of exploring, what outside options are there versus what would we want to implement in the game itself. But we have a strong value around voice chat. It's just not something we've developed yet. But it's something we are interested in.
I think we got time for about one more. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So with the ability for a team to have multiples of the same hero, don't you feel like it may dilute the significance of the hero?
We were worried about that. I mean, there's a lot of gameisms going on in Overwatch that we were concerned about. Like another example is, Tracer and Widowmaker are mortal enemies. They should never be side by side. But we actually made the choice to allow you to be whatever hero you want on the team whenever you want. We felt like it was a gameplay first decision, which is a really big value that we have at Blizzard, is sort of, before all else, allow for gameplay to be really great. So we know that there's some of those moments that are a little bit awkward and weird, like, Tracer being next to Widowmaker or two Tracers, but we were sort of willing to give that up to give you a great gameplay experience, but it was a hard choice.
Which is effectively another reason why the storytelling kind of happens outside of the bounds of the actual gameplay. I know that sounds psychotic, but there's a very specific world and characters with very specific relationships, but the bounds of the game often restrict your ability to kind of keep that really cohesive. So we're not going to bother. We're going to let the gameplay breathe and be the gameplay, and the core, you know, kind of continuity and fiction of the world will kind of happen elsewhere, but be very consistent. So it's kind of a different way of doing it for us, but we think it's going to work really well. So guys, that's we're about out of time. If you're in line, we're sorry we can't get to your questions, but thank you so much for being here for the first panel of Overwatch.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
So
it was super
appreciative.
fun. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.